Reagan Blaha. With midterm elections only weeks away, I'll tell you why NBC's Snapchat Stay Tuned is right here on campus. I'll have that story coming up next.
I'm Carly Gibson, and coming up, I'll be taking a look into the current status of WVU's fraternities.
I'm Shelby Davis, and I'll take you to President Trump's 7th visit to the Mountain State. Our Emmy Award-winning WVU News starts now. President Trump made his way back to West Virginia, and some residents who once supported his election attended the rally to protest. I'm Shelby Davis.
And I'm Bree Clark. After shooting threats at WVU, students are concerned about the lack of security alerts on campus.
These stories and more on WVU News, an Emmy Award-winning newscast produced by television journalism students right here at West Virginia University.
President Trump won over the Mountain State in the election by 69% in 2016. Since then, Trump has strongly supported West Virginia.
I went to Wheeling to attend one of his rallies, where I talked to the crowds at West Banco Arena to find out more.
News spread quickly across the state of West Virginia after President Trump announced his next rally would take place in Wheeling. People from all over flocked to the state to support the president, and some even slept on the sidewalks the night before. Holly Griffin is one of them, making this her 21st Trump rally.
We're happy that the hope we had before the election is being fulfilled, and it's now we come to continue our support, but also to unify with new Trump friends that we've met along the way.
DCE resident Nestride Yumga says that she came to the rally not only to support Trump, but to thank him for fulfilling the terms of his contract.
He needs support. I want him to see on his face that he feels supported. That satisfaction on his face is my satisfaction. It takes strength to do what he's doing.
7,000 people lined up outside West Banco Arena in hopes of becoming part of history as President Trump makes his 7th visit to the Mountain State.
But not all who came to the rally believe President Trump has kept his promise. A group from Ohio came with Good Jobs Nation to voice to the president their concerns about why they lost their jobs after Trump promised them that he would keep them.
We're here to, try to make awareness of what's going on in our community and see why Trump is not, keeping his promise to, what he came and spoke to our community about. Why are we being the ones forgotten?
But jobs being outsourced wasn't the only concern for those attending the event. In fact, the Kavanaugh trials became a hot topic during the rally.
What I saw with Judge Kavanaugh was a man who came unwound, was a man who did not exhibit a judge-like demeanor, was a man who looked guilty.
During the rally, President Trump brought out many West Virginia officials like Governor Jim Justice and Senators David McKinley and Ryan Ferns to attest to the economic growth of West Virginia, saying that the state is booming.
Despite the many unpopular opinions about his presidency, studies show that President Trump has actually gained support since his election in 2016.
Since President Trump ran for office nearly 2 years ago, social media has been a hotspot for news on elections. Over 78% of 18 to 24-year-olds use Snapchat, an app where politics has recently made an appearance.
Reagan Blaha joins us now from Social Square to tell us what this could mean for midterm elections. Reagan?
Thanks, Shelby. NBC launched their daily news show on one of the world's most popular social media platforms. More than 166 million people around the world use Snapchat daily, and Stay Tuned is racking in the views.
We're at West Virginia University, where we made a bunch of new friends, and we're talking to a professor who's running for Congress.
Stay Tuned is NBC News' twice daily news show on Snapchat. In an effort to get people interested in the voting process, they are taking their show on the road to college campuses like WVU across the nation.
Hopefully students that are watching this in West Virginia do hear what the candidate's saying and hopefully open their minds up, whether it's for her or the other candidate. Hopefully they just get out and vote either way.
Having somebody, I know they said they've got a politician coming on later, so I know, if people walk by and they see this happening, that they'll just be encouraged more to vote, and it's just because it's more localized now that they brought this here on campus.
Andrew Springer is the executive producer of Stay Tuned. He's also a West Virginia native. Springer says his staff of 30 has 5 guiding principles when producing Stay Tuned and other events like this.
You hear people talk on TV news and you're like, nobody talks like that. Why are we talking like that? So we tried to create a program that, sounds like the way people talk.
And producers say for this reason that Stay Tuned has a loyal following among millennials. In fact, 75% of their audience is under 25.
So we want to make sure that this important demographic is really engaged ahead of the midterms, and making sure that they know what's going on and making sure that they're getting to ask the questions that are important to them.
Stay Tuned will be visiting 5 universities across America, hoping to encourage college students to get out and vote. An NBC News poll concluded that 55% of millennials said they would vote in the midterm election this November, and the majority of the generation is relying on their phones for the information they need.
Thanks, Reagan. Students not only rely on their phones for news, but for information regarding security on campus. School shooting threats in the U.S. are at an all-time high, happening almost once a week.
Recent shooting threats were made here at WVU, and students did not receive an alert on their phones. Mason Costa joins us now in the studio to tell us more. Mason?
That's right. Many students expressed their anger and confusion about the lack of notification during the alleged threats. Students did not receive an email or a WVU alert, an automatic subscription that sends students text messages during emergencies. I spoke to officials to find out why. There have been 2 shooting threats to the WVU campus this year, but university police have chosen not to alert the student population to either one. Police charged WVU student Zachary Johnson with making terrorist threats after saying, quote, "I seriously just feel like doing a mass shooting," end quote, on the health sciences campus.
The students should know when there's a threat on campus, and they should at least bring things like that to our attention.
And according to a criminal complaint on August 31st, a 50-year-old man of Morgantown, Clarence Wright, said he wanted to commit a mass shooting to leave a legacy behind.
I have friends from back home who texted me and asked me if I was okay, and I had no idea what they were talking about, and I had to Google it. University Police Captain Danny Camden says the university would have used the text alert system if it were needed.
We have an emergency alert notification system that we use, and we use that when there is an immediate threat or a proven threat that might be at large.
University officials say there is another way to alert students to a potential threat. It is a school safety app, and University Police Captain Danny Camden says it ensures safety for all students.
If you see something that looks out of place and wrong, you could take a quick snapshot with your phone and send that in on LiveSafe.
Apps like LiveSafe are free on the App Store, but university officials say the reason no text alerts were sent out was to keep students from panicking. According to the West Virginia Criminal Code, making terrorist threats is punishable by 1 to 3 years in prison. Government officials across the nation are trying actively to find ways to prevent school shooting tragedies.
Thanks, Mason. Government officials are also trying to prevent tragedies caused by drunk driving. Although the number of deaths is decreasing, around 29 people die from alcohol-impaired injuries every day. The Morgantown Police Department is working to lower the numbers. A DUI checkpoint on Beechhurst Avenue was installed to make sure Morgantown residents and WVU students are driving safely. DUI checkpoints are not only used to catch drunk drivers, but they give officers a chance to remind drivers to stay alert while on the road. Studies show that the increase of transportation services like Uber or Lyft have prevented some college students from getting behind the wheel while intoxicated.
Thanks, Bree. WVU officials want students to be safe on the roads and on campus. Back in February, all fraternities were placed on a moratorium status, freezing all social activities. At that time, the university said they wanted to restructure Greek life. A lot has happened since then. Carly Gibson joins us now from Studio B with more. Carly?
Thanks, Shelby. WVU has taken steps last spring in order to align Greek life with the university's values. That means no more drug or alcohol abuse, disorderly conduct, or hazing. Various fraternities were unhappy with this change and decided to cut all ties with the university. But then officials struck back, and now 5 fraternities are not allowed to return to campus for the next decade.
Alpha Sigma Phi, Kappa Alpha Order, Phi Sigma Kappa, Sigma Chi, and Theta Chi have been unhappy with university regulations over the past 3 years, especially a ban recruiting first semester freshmen. And some fraternities believe changes are unnecessary.
They're not a recognized student organization, so though they're made up of WVU students and will continue to care for those WVU students, they're not a recognized student organization, so they don't get the benefits or the perks of being that. We're also going to be very vocal about who they are, because without university recognition comes a lack of university oversight and supervision.
WVU began trying to change the fraternity culture on campus after the November 14, 2014 death of freshman Nolan Birch. Birch died following an apparent hazing at one of the fraternities.
Everything's happening on campus, and when our parents are sending us here, we're in the hands of the school. So they're allowing the students to, you know, have that control and that power in their hand when it should be, you know, with the president and everyone else below him.
I emailed the fraternities in hopes to get a comment on the current situation. Here are those emails. However, I got no response back with anyone willing to meet me. I did get a response from Sigma Chi and their national chapter through a letter that states, "We do desire to establish a mutually beneficial partnership with WVU, but only when the time seems right."
WVU President Gordon Gee sent out his own letter to the campus community. In it, he said, quote, "I write to you with a heavy heart. My first priority is always our students. I am deeply concerned by the decisions these chapters have made."
Thanks, Carly. WVU game day traditions bring Mountaineers together.
That's right, Bree. Coming up after the break, Julia Mellett joins us in the studio to tell us more about those blue and gold traditions.
There's very little the Morgantown residents love as much as Fall Saturdays. Coming up on WVU News, I'm Julia Mellett, and I'll tell you how some Mountaineers have made tailgating their way of life.
We conquer mountains, but that's not why they call us Mountaineers. It's because we don't let anything stand in our way. We build what's never been built, seek cures for the incurable, and go first into undiscovered frontiers. We are Mountaineers, and impossible is just another mountain to climb.
Thousands of people take those country roads home to Milan Pushkar Stadium on football Saturdays.
Fans began tailgating hours before kickoff. Sports anchor Julia Mellett has more. Julia?
Thanks, Bree. Shelby. With only one loss, WVU Football is having a great season, on and off the field. The Blue Lot, one of 12 registered tailgating lots in Morgantown, opens at 7 a.m., and by then, there's already a line. Fans come from all over the country to join in the WVU tailgating experience.
Let's go Mountaineers!
Every home football Saturday, the parking lot of Ruby Memorial Hospital is cleared. Gold and blue fills the streets, and grills fire up as early as 7 a.m.
We leave Pittsburgh about 5:30, and we're in line with the rest of the tailgate hardcore people that want to get their spot marked out.
Rackley's tailgate has even garnered social media attention. Christmas music plays and bubbles rain down like snow. But not everyone tailgates the same way. For the Farleys, tailgating is about being around family and friends.
All of our children are alumni of West Virginia University. We are both alumni of West Virginia University, so it's a great chance to come back and celebrate on weekends together.
The Farleys host themed days with the other cars in their tailgate. For locals, WVU tailgating has spanned lifetimes.
I mean, we've had playpens, we've had toys, we've had, then they went through cornhole, so it changes, and now, of course, they bring kind of their college-age friends.
All across town, people are grilling and playing party games.
With 12 associated tailgating lots, WVU pregame allows fans more time for grilling and more time to play games of cornhole.
For the Mountaineer Maniacs, tailgating is not to be taken lightly.
So actually my freshman year, I actually had to get a hotel the night before a game to stay in town because the dorm's closed.
Although traditions vary, two things are constant.
Always pepperoni rolls. We love our Mountaineers, not just football, but basketball too.
And where else are you going to get a beer at 8 o'clock in the morning and nobody cares?
Some WVU tailgaters even have 4 legs, but everyone dons the gold and blue.
And here's a fun fact. TailgateMaster.com recently ranked the 50 best college tailgates in the country, and WVU made the list, coming in at number 24. Bree, Shelby, back to you.
Thanks, Julia. That's a pretty cool fact, Bree. Well, that's it for this week's edition of WVU News. You can visit us online on our website.
You can also watch our shows on YouTube, and please follow us and our reporters on Twitter. I'm Bree Clark.
And I'm Shelby Davis. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.